Welcome to our Market Structure Basics Lesson 2, Part 2, Support and Resistance. That concept is very critical to your success in trading. It's important to know where to buy and where to sell, and support and resistance will help you. Welcome to Lesson 2, Part 2. We are in a series called Market Structure Basics, and in this video, we will be looking at support and resistance. I am the Forex Trading Sensei, and I'm glad that you've joined us for this recording. Just to introduce this topic, to let you know that support and resistance is very, very key to understanding in order to trade well. And there's several reasons for that. One, of course, is the fact that this is where traders actually congregate to place their entry orders. Support and resistance is where you want to be looking. And at the same time, it's also the spot where you can actually be tricked to go in the wrong direction. So there's a lot that happens at support and resistance in the market, and you certainly want to be very clear about which way to go when you get to that level. Now, the thing is, support and resistance can be identified in many ways. There are many indicators, many drawing tools that will allow you to identify support and resistance. Sometimes it's a price level, sometimes it's a zone. But the whole idea is you have to be able to identify it on the chart in a way that gives you, the trader, a very clear perspective on what you should do, what kind of action you should take at that point in time. So let me just use an image to illustrate the point first, and then I'll go back to the chart. So what you're seeing on the screen is a picture of a house. And when you look at the house, of course, it's a two-story house, and there's stairs going up to the house, but there's also one floor and then another floor. So we have a ground floor and then the first floor. So I want to use this house as an analogy to give you the concept of support and resistance. So let's just say you went up these steps and then you went into the house. Now, when you walked in, you'd be standing on the floor. So whether it's tiled, whether it's a wooden floor, whether there's carpet, whatever, you'll be standing on the floor. Now, let's say you were invited to go to the first floor. You would then take a staircase, go above the ceiling of the first floor, or the ground floor, sorry, and then go to the flooring on the first floor itself. So we have the ground floor, that floor of the first level, then we have the ceiling of the first level, and then you have the flooring of the first floor. So the reality is that what was the ceiling for the ground floor or the first level will become the floor for the first floor or the second level in the house. So what was the ceiling here would now be the flooring here. And let's just assume there's a basement to this house. What was the floor for the ground level will become the ceiling if you went into a basement. So that is really, really important to understand, because when price is moving, it is stair-stepping on levels of support and resistance. Just like how you may have walked up these steps to go to the house, you walk up certain levels. So on a chart, just imagine this would be the price and this would be the time. So support and resistance would provide the stair steps that price would use to go up in an uptrend or go down in a downtrend. And in part 1 of lesson 2, we discussed trends and trend lines. So if you haven't watched that video, it would be a great idea to go back and review it. So keep that in mind. Support and resistance levels are your stair steps, and it's what price uses to go from one level to the next. So let's go back to the trading platform now. And we can see clearly here, we have an example of price moving up. And you can see, of course, it's making higher highs. And I'll just mark these off so you can get an idea of what I'm referring to. And these are swing highs, so you can see price is making a higher high. So you can see each higher marking off is higher than the previous one. And then at the same time, it's also making higher lows. You can see this low is higher than this low. This low is higher than this low. This low is higher than this one. And this low is higher than this one. But this low will not become an official swing low until this price action goes higher than this one. And we get to cover all of those details in our market structure lesson next, or part 3 to this session. But for now, I just want to show you when price is moving up, stair-stepping its way higher, it's making higher highs and higher lows. So this would be an uptrend. So how do we find support and resistance? So back to the analogy of the house, support identifies a place where price cannot go lower. So it's like a floor. So right through here, for example, you can see this price came down. This came a little bit down, but not as low as this one, down and down. So this region here is a region of support. These 3 candles are really bouncing off of an area of support, because every time price gets to that particular level, it cannot seem to go lower. So support is likened to a floor. And why is that important? Because at support is where you generally find buyers, right here. So I'm just going to type in buyers. The idea of trading is that you want to buy where the buyers are, and you want to sell where the sellers are, because you want to move with the market. So buyers are found at support and sellers are found at resistance. So just keep those in mind when you're looking at charts. So I'm just putting that here so you can see it. Buyers are found at support. So let's go to resistance. Here's an example of resistance. Every time price got close to this region, it turned and dropped. So that is an example of resistance. Just a very simple example, but then later on we'll take it to another level. So resistance is where you expect to see sellers in the market. When sellers in the market, the price tends to drop. So we have resistance equals sellers. So we have support and resistance. Now, one of the concepts that is very important for us to lay out right now is the connection between support and resistance. And you're probably wondering, what exactly do I mean? Well, here we have on the left a zone. I'm going to mark this off as a zone right through here. This is a resistance zone. And you can see clearly that every time price got into that area, it sold off. It turned and dropped. That's because you have sellers in that resistance zone. So it's not really just a single price point, but it's a price region or zone. And many times you will find where price will turn, it will be a zone. This resistance zone here causes price to drop. So every time price gets to it, you can see it tried once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, even 7 times. Every time it got into this region, it could not hold. Even here it broke through, maybe because of news, but then it came right back. So this long shadow or wick is telling you that you have some serious selling happening in this region, not a place to look for a buy opportunity. Even though you see this green candle here pushing up into resistance, this could be a trap to get you to buy this right at a resistance zone where price is likely to drop. So here is where we have price turning to go down. Now, what happens when price comes back to this resistance zone and actually breaks through it? What happens? Well, here we have a perfect example. Right here, we have this resistance zone here becoming support on this side. You can see it every time price drops, it just bounces off of this level. So you have support. I'm just going to expand this a bit so it will be a little bit more visible for those, especially those of you on mobile devices. You can see what's happening here. So what was our resistance zone in the past is now a support area. And so I'm going to copy this and place it here as well. So that is a classic behavior of price action. What behaves as resistance at one spot, when price breaks it, comes back to test it as support before going higher. So this is something you really, really need to pay attention to because it happens all the time. And it's the place and the price action that you want to look for to give you confirmation to get into your trade. So let me just run it through and you can take notes if necessary. But when price approaches resistance, if it breaks through resistance, it will tend to come back to test that resistance level as support before going higher. And the flip side of that is if price breaks through, let me find an example for you on a chart so you can see it. If price breaks through support, it will tend to come back and test that region as resistance before going lower. So here's an example of support. You can see the price was holding above this line. Every time it came to the line, it sat on it. Even though it pierced it, it came right back. You have support here, price sitting on it. Here, price sat on it, but it was in a resistance zone. And here we have price in a resistance zone because it pierced but came back. So what was support at one point became resistance. Notice here, the price broke through this support level, came back to test it as resistance before going lower. So this area here would have been a place to watch for a short opportunity. And this is where traders get tricked because they see a green candle going up and they're not doing proper analysis, so they don't really understand the context of what's happening with price. They just see a green candle and they jump in with a buy, only to see price turn and drop. So remember, if price breaks through support, so remember price will be coming down to support. So if it breaks through support, look for it to come back and test that area as resistance, which is a ceiling. So for it to be testing as a ceiling, it has to be coming from below. So once it tests here, and you can see there's weakness, you're looking for your entry to get in for the short. So those are the main concepts you need to remember about support and resistance. Very, very key. Now, like I said in the beginning, many things on your chart can give you support and resistance. So one of the ways is to use just horizontal lines, mapping out price areas where you see, just by looking, you can see where price has found a support region. Here's another level right through here. You can see clearly support right through here, support. Every time price gets in this region, it tends to come back up. All of these long shadows below here, a confirmation to you that you have buying pressure, which is why the price is not dropping and the candle is not staying red. It's giving you a long shadow and it's turning and becoming green. This one is red, but we have a long shadow. So this entire region here is a buying zone. You can see it right through here, a very strong support region. So every time price gets in this region, it's a time to look for a buy opportunity, unless price breaks the region, comes back and tests it as resistance before going lower. So this would be a buying zone, this support zone here. So as long as price is holding above this level, which is acting like a floor, you should not be thinking of shorting or selling in this zone, because you will be left behind, because price is just getting ready to go up. So that is one way, just by eyeballing price action and looking to see where price is sticking. It's not falling or it's not breaking through to a higher spot. And that is one way, very basic way, you can identify support and resistance levels. Now, like I mentioned before, there are many other things on the chart that you can add to help you to locate specific support and resistance levels. But it's very important that whatever trading system you use, it's something that works for you, that you can identify it, and it will give you very clear support and resistance levels that you know you can use in your trading. Trading is very individual. Everyone processes information differently. But bottom line, when you sit at your chart, you need to be able to see clearly what price is telling you so you can make your trading decision. In our next video, we will be discussing market structure, helping you to understand market structure so that you will be able to follow price action and understand what the market is telling you. So until that video, which will be part 3, take care and trade well.